Brutalism. Cold, imposing, raw. Some see it as an eyesore, others as a revolution in architecture. But what happens when a filmmaker uses it as a metaphor for the human condition? Hello cinephiles, I am Rushi Padiyar and today we are unraveling Brady Corbet's 2024 masterpiece, The Brutalist. This isn't just a film, it's an architectural manifesto built from concrete, steel, and raw human resilience, where every frame feels like a structure, but beyond its brutalist facade, there lies something deeper. And I want you to join me not just to watch, but to decode, to break down the weight of its cinematography and the power of its storytelling. When my friend and I stepped into theater, we knew that we are gonna have some great experience. Sitting in the third row, dead center, the screen towered over us like the very structures Laszlo dreams of building. And once the film began, we weren't just watching it, we were inside it. The placement of our seats wasn't just about proximity, it was about perspective. Sitting so close, we were engulfed by the towering visuals, the heavy sound design, and the suffocating atmosphere that the film creates. This wasn't just a passive viewing, it was immersion. And that's exactly what the brutalists demand.
I already anticipate the communal rhetoric of anger, fear. A whole river of such frivolities may flow undammed. But my buildings were devised to endure such erosion of the Danube's shoreline.
Brutalism isn't just architecture, it's ideology, resilience, survival, and this movie doesn't just show us brutalism, it makes us feel it. From the moment Laszlo Toth, portrayed by Adrien Brody, arrives in America, the film sets the tone for a journey that's both personal and universal. A Holocaust survivor and an architect, Laszlo's story is a tapestry woven with the threads of ambition, displacement, and the relentless pursuit of identity. The narrative doesn't follow a linear path. Instead, it mirrors the complexities of Laszlo's life unfolding in a manner that invites the audience to piece together the fragment of his past and present. There's a reason this film feels so heavy. It's not just the subject matter, it's the philosophy behind it. Brutalism emerged as a response to destruction. After World War II, cities need to be rebuilt fast, functionally, and without pretension. And brutalism wasn't about beauty. It was about purpose, strength, a refusal to be anything but what it is. Much like the architecture, Laszlo is raw, unpolished. He doesn't conform to the aesthetic of the world around him. He is rigid, immovable, unwilling to compromise, and the film shows us that in today's world, where everything is sleek, minimalist, and deceptively fragile, brutalism is a dying language, and so is Laszlo. But what happens when a world obsessed with perfection tries to break something unbreakable?
What a poetic reply. You must have been a beloved professor. I've said it before, but I find our conversations intellectually stimulating.
I agree with you.
There's a moment in the film where time just stops. A long, unbroken shot of Harrison Lee Von Buren, played by Guy Pearce, telling his story, and for those minutes, I forgot I was in a theater. A single shot, no cuts, no distraction, just a man talking, and yet it is the most suffocating scene in the film. Pierce's character is charismatic but unsettling. The way he speaks, calm, measured, almost hypnotic, it pulls us into his world. But beneath the polished surface, there's something sinister. This is where cinematography and performance collide perfectly. The longer the take, the more we begin to feel the weight of his words. There's no escape. The way he views his story, the subtle shifts in his tone, the micro expressions, everything is deliberate. And then there's Adrien Brody, silent, listening, but his silence speaks volume. His posture, his restrained reaction, it's a wonderful masterclass in how to receive a monologue. Sitting in the theater front row, it felt like I was there, trapped between them, hearing every breath, every pause. The tension builds slowly, unbearably, until a single shift in Pierce's demeanor changes everything. A smile, a lingering glance, and that's when we know Laszlo is no longer in control.
What do you say?
I would like to draw something and present it to you.
You'd like to win the commission. All right, you can do that. It's cold. Let's return inside. Come on.
Cinematography isn't just about making something look good, it's about making it feel a certain way. And the brutalist weaponizes its visual against us. This film is designed to make us feel small. VistaVision isn't just about detail, it's about scale. The horizontal 35mm format expands the world, giving architecture an almost monolithic presence. Laszlo's structure don't just stand over him, they loom, dominate, swallowing him in the very space he is trying to shape. Just as the forces around him dictate his fate, the sheer scale of frame makes his struggle feel unsurmountable. Then there's color, desaturation that feels less like an aesthetic choice and more like a prison. The concrete world is drained of warmth, a cold and unrelenting expanse. But notice when hope flickers, the light shifts, warmth seeps into the palette, however briefly before being swallowed again by the stark brutality of his environment. And the framing? Static compositions lock Laszlo in place, mirroring his entrapment within bureaucratic and societal constraints. When the camera does move, it does so with purpose, a rare, disorienting handheld moment as if the world itself is slipping from stability. Brutalist architecture isn't designed to be beautiful, it's designed to be imposing, and so is the film. The grandeur of VistaVision doesn't create space for beauty, but for power. It's an architectural film in every sense, not just in subject, but in its very form, where the weight of its structure is felt in every single frame.
Mr. Van Buren.
Orazio, prendi un caffè veloce e poi andiamo, eh?
What happened to his hand?
Dangerous work.
Brutalism is about survival, but the film asks, is survival enough? The film connects everything, the structure, the ideology, the man behind them. Laszlo builds things meant to last, but in the end, it is not his will that survives. It is the will of those in power. Harrison Lee Van Buren embodies that power. The long shot wasn't just about storytelling, it was about dominance. Laszlo, once the architect of his own destiny, is now a figure swallowed by his own creations. The framing tells us everything that he is shrinking while the forces above him expands. And that's the brutalist cruelest truth. It's not about destruction, it's about erasure. Not a sudden collapse, but a slow, grinding decay. His body, his ideas, his very identity, all chiseled away. And then comes the final act. The buildings still stand. The concrete remains unshaken. But the man who built them, stripped from everything. Brutalism endures. But the brutalist, he disappears.
It's over. 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 Finished!
And then it ends. The epilogue doesn't fade in, it collapses onto you. A final note that lingers like the echo of something immovable finally giving way.
No matter what the authors try and sell you, it is the destination, not the journey. Thank you.
Brady Corbet didn't make a film to comfort us. He made a film to confront us, to remind us that some things like brutalism itself are not meant to be immediately understood. They demand time, patience, and willingness to see beyond their harsh exterior. It wasn't just a cinematic experience, it was an entrapment. It all builds to one unshakable truth. Healing is near impossible when the world itself is built on pain. You don't escape cruelty, you inherit it, you reshape it, and then you pass it on. That is the brutalist paradox, where endurance and destruction are not opposites, but one and the same. Laszlo, like his building, stands tall, but even concrete erodes, and when the storm comes, when time inevitably scrapes away at what was built, it is not the architect who decides what remains standing. The film leaves us with one devastating question. Do we endure, or do we become part of the destruction?